Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Mike here, and welcome back to my Modern C++ series. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at a tool called stacktrace. Now, in our previous episodes, we've been talking about C++ safety and exceptions. And this tool today is going to be something really helpful if you're doing things like logging when you throw an exception. But it can also be useful just in general for any type of tooling or getting your code state and so on. So you can use your imagination how to use this tool. I think with things like reflection too, this is going to be really interesting for doing introspection on your program or inserting information to help you when you run into a problem in your code, or otherwise just want to understand like how deep your call stack is, or all sorts of interesting things. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive in here. Now, before we get into the CPP reference page here, and we'll be working in the diagnostics library under stacktrace, so I can go ahead and load that up here. I want to just show you what type of information we're going to be getting today. So again, if we compile our program, let's use G++. Importantly, I'm going to do this with -G for the debugging symbols. And again, I'm going to need C++23 for the stacktrace library here. I'll, again, run our program. Our program doesn't really do anything interesting at this point. But again, what I want to show you isn't a debugger like GDB. When we do something like start here, and then I type out backtrace, or you can do BT for short, this information that I'm getting in the bottom here that tells me I'm in the main function, I'm at line 10 in my main.cpp, that's the type of information we can now get out of source code. I don't have to jump into my debugger to get this. So again, if I'm going to log something, if there's an error, if my program's in a weird state, whatever, I can actually get this information. Now, previously, there are some other ways to do this. You can use tools, for instance, like line, or there's other macros like function, and we're going to look at some point, maybe if folks are interested, at source location, which can also do this. I might have mentioned in my previous video. But anyways, let's look at this stacktrace here. So what is this doing? Well, we've got to include our stacktrace header, which I've already done for us. And the basic idea is this is going to give us a collection of stacktrace entries, and we'll be able to print them out. I'll show you how to iterate through them. And you can also set the allocator and these types of things as well if you want. So again, you get a lot of control here. But basically what it's giving us is a snapshot, again, of our program, the whole stack trace within our program. So that's kind of cool, okay? And again, if you do this within, let's see, different threads here, it should give you within that thread the stack, which I think is pretty cool here. We might actually have to try that. Maybe we'll do that towards the end of the video to ensure that we're getting the stack trace just within that thread. Let's actually see what that behavior is, just so we know exactly what's going on here. So anyways, what I want to show you here as far as the member functions, the really important one is going to be this one here, current, which contains the current stack trace or its given part. And you'll see it's marked static here. So how we'll use this? Well, stud : stack trace is what we're going to be using. So using stack trace, again, this is just sort of a convenient way to do all of this. So you'll see standard : stack trace : current in our video today when I start coding. Okay, and then again we can do iterators and so on. Figure out the size of the stack trace, if it's empty, the maximum number of stack trace entries we can have, and a few other things here. I think that's what we're mostly going to need here. You'll see that it has the formatter all set up here, so I can use this with print line as well. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Let's just write a little bit of code here and see how this works. And again, this is the header file that I've included. That's important for us. So the very first thing that I'm going to do here is let's just create a stack trace here, like this stack trace. I'll just call it st, and I'm going to do stack trace : current. Let's open that up here just to see if there's no really interesting information here, I think, right now, other than we can set where we're going to allocate stuff. We can do other things like skip, I guess, if we want to skip entries for whatever reason. We might want to skip entries at the end, perhaps, or again, set the depth here if you don't care about everything. Maybe you're in some sort of library here, but let's just get a basic usage here and just do current here. And then I'll just do standard print line, and let's just go ahead and print out stack trace here. And let's try to recompile this, and let's see what happens. Does it run? It's trying. Oh, I get a bunch of error messages. Okay. Well, not quite error messages. These are linker error messages here. Okay, so these might be fun. You might run into these. And I am running on GCC or G++ 16 experimental right now, which depending on when you're watching this, maybe not for long, is in the future. So if you run into these linker errors, don't worry. You do have to link in the library here. And again, when you do your linking, that comes after the source code. And if you're on like an experimental compiler, that's going to be this -L standard C++ experimental. You can bring in, I think that piles in some things, depending on how you compile G++ with config and so on. Maybe you'll have something like this. I think this is what the default's going to be. So we do need to add just a little something here. Let me just do this in one step here. -L for linking in standard C++ experimental. That's for mine. I bet most of you folks are going to have to do something like this. I don't know if the name's going to change or if it has already changed, but something like that should do the trick here. And now I should be able to run my program, and we should be able to see my stack trace. How cool? How cool is that? So, and it works again with print line just nicely here. Again, I'll show you the old school if you can't use print line for some reason. Although, again, print line is on C++ 23. This is on C++ 23. Just use print line most likely. But anyways, so I can see I'm at the main. And again, there's a great talk by Matt Godbolt. I love the name. I think it's called The Bits Before the Bytes, or What Happens Before Main, something like that. Right. And if you've done some assembly programming, an assembly is still valuable to know and to do at least a little bit, at least explore a little bit, right? You'll know what the start function is. Or again, if you've done some embedded or different types of non-desktop programming, right? So you start there. We got to start up basically the C runtime library here, and maybe some other things on our system, and then eventually we get to our main function, right? Which is exactly where we are now. What I will say is this is a little bit boring, to illustrate if we don't have like another function to call here. So let's just go ahead and add one here, foo. I'm just gonna shift this program around just a little bit here. And then now what I should see if I, again, recompile this, and I'm going to rerun it with prog here. Now we'll see at this point in time where I created this stack trace and printed out here, I was at function foo. Again, you can see my directory here. We're at episode 242 already, which is pretty cool. But anyways, you can see where I generated that stack trace at line number 9 here. So that's the information that I'm getting back, these sort of snapshots. And you can do all sorts of cool tooling things to like insert these at the start of every like function or something. Or again, if you throw an exception, for instance, this might be the type of information that you want to capture. So yeah, this is a really cool tool here. So let me just show you a few other things here with stack trace, or rather one other thing here. Let's create an iterator, and basically what I want to do here is, let's just call this, okay, yeah, with our stack trace, we're going to use the same one here. And while that iter does not equal the stack trace end here, let's increment our iterator. And basically what I want to do here is just show you how to print out some of this information here. Maybe you want to format it for some reason differently here. I think there's 3 or 4 spaces, something like that here. I'm going to add a counter. I'm just going to add it outside of the loop. You can make it look a little bit nicer if you want here. We'll just increment it, so it'll do the post increment every time here. Let's see if I can fit all this program in one screen here. And basically the fields, let's see if I can show you where the fields are here for this stack trace. I might be able to find some of the information here. Current, I think I'm going to have to go into a stack trace entry here. Yes, and we want to get the description, source file, and source line here. So yeah, like where are we? What's the file? And then the line here, right? And we can see that here. So we're in main. That's sort of our description. Here's the file, and here's the line number in our stack trace, right? Just like you would see in GDB. So we could go ahead and recreate that. So again, this is going to come from our iterator. Let's see, from our counter. And I kind of want to format it like we did before. Iter description. Make sure I spell all these right. And let's see, this is going to get pretty long here. And we've done a long series on streams. They are still valuable. I do like print line. I'm starting to use it more. Let's go ahead and do something like that here. And let's see, after our description, I think, what do we need here? at something like that here. I might have to guess a little bit here. Then let's do our source file, iter source, file. And then I'm going to put a colon and iter source line here. And then I don't know, people don't like when I do this, so I'll just put a end line. All right, let's see what we do here. Let's see if we spelled everything right. Well, let's try to compile this. There's our whole source code. Let's go ahead and compile it. How did I do here? Invalid use of non-static member function. What did I do here? Description, iter description. Of course. Let me take a look at here. These are queries. So these are, let's click on these just to show you one. These are functions here. Some of you who are watching my D programming language series know you don't have to put the parentheses there. So maybe that's always interfering with me. I kind of like doing that. Anyways, let's go ahead and give this a run and see if we create something similar. Yeah, this is something similar here. So, if you want full control over that information, this looks pretty good. I'm surprised I got that right on the first go. That's rare, so that usually means we should stop the YouTube video when we're having that much fun and getting things right. But anyways, it's pretty cool. So again, feel free to incorporate this in your tooling. Just be aware that you might need to link in a different library depending on what compiler you're using. Again, I'm using G++ on here. I suppose Clang should be pretty similar, Clang++, for those of you who are using that. But there you have it, the stacktrace tool. So this is going to be helpful for us. I'll show you how to use this in regards to our exceptions later, but we've seen kind of the bulk of this. And again, if you want to iterate through and grab whatever information you want, again, maybe you just want the source file and the source line, right? Maybe you're doing some instrumentation where it's like, hey, what files do I access, right? I don't care about the description, but I want to write like some code coverage tool or something interesting where I'm just seeing which lines of source code are actually tested in a test suite or something. So anyways, use your imagination with this. I think it's a really cool thing. I'm glad C++ has this in the standard library. There have been other library solutions that you can use this for, you do this type of thing, of course, but it's pretty neat to have here. And obviously, I think it's better than the macros. I like having stuff with types that can be checked, so that's the idea. So anyways, folks, thanks for your time and attention. If you enjoyed this video, as always, you can check out courses.mshot.io. Let's scroll down to the C++ series where you're watching here, and make sure you can track your progress there. You can join the community. I'm trying to make more posts there for folks. So you could kind of see the monthly roundup of videos, for instance, I'll be posting going forward. I'll do that on occasion. But anyways, there's some good stuff there, and feel free to ask questions about this video there or in the comments below. So I'll look forward to hearing your ideas, or if you're already using this tool, or if you just found out it exists and you think it's neat, feel free to let me know below. All right, folks, thank you as always for your time and attention. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.